All right, welcome back. So here we have Matt Moss, and we're talking about how to get your song on the Big Bang Theory. We got a placement a few years back, and it was a collaboration. I did I guess, the singing and the guitar playing, and Matt did the rest. so, so he's the real magic behind this thing. And but where you probably watched part one. If not, make sure you check out part one of how we kind of came up with the ideas and all that. And Matt's now going to kind of open up his session, and he's going to show you all the bells and whistles and all the stuff that makes this magic happen. So here it is, man. Share that screen.
All right, here we go. Okay, you see
There
everything?
it is. Looks good.
Yeah.
So I noticed that you got lots of colors there. That's so pretty.
I love using colors. Yeah, so, and it's funny because a lot of the last song we did had like 75 tracks, and I opened this up and I'm like, including the master and the click, there's like, look, 18 tracks. So it shows you it's not about, and you can see, look, here's that R verb I was talking about earlier I like to use, and all these, even back then I was using the Q10 or Q1 through 10 for EQs because it depends on how many bands you want.
Right. So okay, so I'm just thinking ahead. If somebody wants to listen to the track, I'm not sure how good the audio is, but if they do want to have a listen to the track, the band name or the project name we called it was the Yellow Pioneers, and I believe you can go on Spotify and look up the song "Your Love Has Got Me," and then you can then you can hear the fully produced and it'll be clear and stuff. You won't get that streaming stuff. But so just in case the visual is not as clear, like you can't, like maybe people can't zoom in as much, make sure you walk through what, tell us what plugins they are, just in case they can't see it.
Sure.
Well, let me ask you let's walk through the channels. What do you got, acoustic there? Or let's go straight down from the top.
Let's see what in the world's going on here.
Yeah.
It looks really weird because it like cuts out here and then there's some here. Who knows what I was doing? It's a mandolin. Let's see.
Okay.
Sounds like drums are in my mandolin too. Hold on. All right, so is this acoustic? All right, let me just for the sake of this video, I have so much stuff on pre over here that you're gonna probably hear other stuff coming through the reverb. So let me just mute the verb. There we go. So that's acoustic. And it looks like, I had this CLA3 compressor. I should still have it. I don't know why it's not showing up. Maybe it was just from an earlier version of Pro Tools, which is it's like the LA3A for hardware compressor, which I like to use just to tame down acoustics and it doesn't color it too much. And I'm using that Q1. It's just got a shelf on it. It's scooping out like from around probably 300 all the way down to the lowest of lows to get a little bit of that information out of there.
That's good.
And I don't know if this was the original acoustic track or if you redid it, but this was played by Steve. Let's see what happens here.
So I noticed there, I think if I'm seeing it right, it looks like you got the mandolin going out the right, and then the acoustic guitars coming out just the left, just for that little intro, and then you stereo back them. Is that right? That looks really cool. That's a great idea.
I have the extra guitar. It says guitar extra here, going all the way to the left. I mean to the right, and my world just stopped. So before we get there, so to start out with, just to kind of give you a quick rundown, it looks like we have a kick, we have like just a bass, a whole note, this tambourine sample, and a little snare sample that all hit at the beginning. I'm gonna turn the reverb back on. The secret's out. It wasn't a real band. But these were actually samples that I recorded in a bigger studio. One day I went in there and just recorded a bunch of stuff, just to kind of have some unique sounds, I guess.
Yeah, play one of them, because from memory, I think I I requested a file of 10 or 20 of your samples because they're so good.
So this is this is a Swingerland snare that a fellow engineer brought in. We gotta only have one headphone on here, so I don't really know what's going on. I'm about to switch over. I got to do it.
You got to do it so you can hear it, man.
All right.
You can hear the magic. That's what we want to hear. And it looks like you got like the big long bass notes. That looks pretty cool. And yeah, I really want to hear these samples in.
That's it. Pretty much nothing. And then after it goes through the verb.
So huge.
Yeah, it's like must be it's a hall. Okay, so mute that, and then we have this jingle drum. That's it.
That's cool.
And then through the reverb. Some of that. Sorry, again, these verbs are all in pre's. I just don't want to change that. See, but let's see, kick.
Yeah, that's great. Those are great, man.
That's also a kick I did at the studio. And it's not like there's nothing impressive about it. It was just, it's a unique sound because I recorded it. You can find your own samples or you can record a real drum kit or whatever, but these are just some things I did. So I'm feeding all those pre through the reverb. I'm not sure why I did that. It was just something I was doing. You get more volume when you go pre. Besides that, I'm not real sure. I don't usually do that anymore because then when I try to solo things, you know, you hear the reverb of every instrument you have.
So just explain that again through the pre. So you get more volume when you go through the pre. So you've got your, let's just, yeah.
If you click pre, basically that means that if I mute this channel here, it's still going to pass the reverb through. So you do get more volume when you go pre. I don't really know why I did it that way, because you could just turn it up if you wanted to. Because the problem is now if I solo this for this video, then you're going to hear the reverb from all the other instruments too.
Yeah.
You know, one reason is if you want to mute it and still hear the reverb. You know, so maybe there for whatever reason.
Yeah. Right, yeah.
Maybe that was the magic behind it. Let's move on. We don't have a whole lot of time here. So, and this is bass. Right here. Let's see what and the way I recorded, I probably filtered out the highs.
Oh, yeah.
And then right here, like I have a little bump there because you hear it kind of growls a little bit. Let's see if I bypass that. Doesn't add a whole lot, but within the track, I probably made that decision just to make it stand out a little bit without having to turn it up. So, what should we expect, Steve?
Yeah, so you got a little mandolin there, have you? Is that so? You only got acoustic guitar, then a mandolin.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and you got those percussion. That's not that much. What else you got there?
Yeah, bass, percussion, mandolin, and acoustic guitar. That's it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Why are we adding so much to other tracks?
That's a good question.
My world just stopped.
I have the reverb turned off right now, just so we don't have to deal with that.
My world just stopped.
So let's go to the vocal, because you already see the acoustics. It's really, I'm literally just doing an EQ, and then I was using a little bit of compression just to keep it tame. Same with this guy here. Now we go to Steve's vocal, and on the EQ, let's see, I'm pulling, you can see here, I'm pulling out, and I'd probably be more particular if I was using, I did not mean to do that, if I was using like a Q10, but on here it only has so many frequencies. So I'm pulling out 100 around there, and then around 680. That 680s probably has to do more with the frequency of the key we're in. It was just maybe a lot of that in there, so I took a little bit out. 100 is because Steve's vocal, low mids are usually an issue. It's just his vocal range, And so on this one, I took that out. And the interesting thing is usually I take out around 250, but it could be the mic he was using. It could be how close he was. It could be the deeper tone he was using. So it just depends. Now, the interesting thing is usually, man, I crank out like around 15, but I didn't add much here, interestingly. But
My world just stopped when you came into view.
a lot of times, like if it's a real pop track, man, I just take this and go.
My world just stopped.
That's a good tip.
I'll crank it up. And then usually I have to put a de-esser in there before that EQ as well. This is kind of like I'm just like relearning this whole mix. It's funny because a lot of times I'll boost after the compressor just to make sure that doesn't get compressed down. So this is a good show of what I usually do doesn't always work. It's not always what I go for, but a lot of times I'll boost after the compressor. So let's look at the compressor.
My world just
So I'm
stopped.
hitting it pretty hard, and this is my little favorite EQ here, or compressor.
My world just stopped.
That's bypassed. Here it is with it in.
My world just stopped.
So the way this works is the more gain I put to it, the faster it reacts, because there's no controls for release and attack. And I mean, we could play with that compressor a little bit, but let's move on.
Yeah, I noticed you got some MIDI stuff in there too.
Let's see.
And where did you come from?
So same thing. I didn't even compress this vocal. I just let's see if we have automation on any of these vocals. Look at that. Look at that. I didn't automate one thing. That's awesome. I love it. Because I'm always automating things these days. Okay, so like on this track, these tracks, this was before, what do you call it, clip gain or whatever? I don't remember what it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was probably Pro Tools 8. So like, I literally did no volume moves on this. That is incredible.
Wow.
It shows you like sometimes I spend so much time on that stuff.
So, so not to cut you off, but maybe we'll have to do another video on it sometime. But we've got about a minute left. What else do you have there?
Oh yeah, sure. So let's see.
Did you come?
Now you see this is an older version of Addictive Drums, so it's not showing up.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I see.
Yeah. But let me just make sure. Let me try to open it again and see what the. What I will do is I'll put it on the new one just to see if maybe it'll show up as what we got here. So it's good to stem things out, especially after a few years, because you might end up losing things.
Yeah.
I already know. I know what kit I was using. It was this little guy. It's going to sound different because it's a different version. Let's see here. Yeah, it kind of stinks. Let's see.
Yeah, that's a good point. I know I'm starting to think that as well with my stuff. It's like I should stem things out a little bit more. And I know a buddy in LA who he's got like 6 or 7 Emmys, and he stems everything out from day one. So
yeah. Let's see. Well, if you want an Emmy, you got to stem things out. That's what Steve's saying.
yeah, you don't know what they're gonna ask for. Hey, that track back in 1980.
Yeah. Well, that sure did slow us down. That's okay.
Well, that's all right. What else? So you got a drum kit in there, and then there's not really that much in there.
Yeah, that's about what it was.
And your love has got me. Your love has got me. We belong together. We'll never be apart.
So the mix sounds a little different than it did before, but I haven't opened this up in I don't know how long.
Your love has got me. And your love has got me.
Some bells. So that's.
Oh yeah, I heard a bell. Yeah.
Looks like I got harmony here. It's just another bell. So with some of these bells, basically I would play parts, but then I'd record it and then chop it up and maybe tune a different note if I came back later and I didn't want to get the bells out again.
Your love has got me.
Let me just go to the end to see if there's anything else new.
Me, your love has got me.
There's some claps and then obviously this little reverse cymbal. I'll put it in there.
That's great.
There's not much to this track, you know. It's all about that vocal, and then like I said, the mix sounds a little different now. It seems like the reverb's a little different than the way the mix was, but look at this reverb I want to show. Most of the time I'll have the reverb like this. But I really wanted, especially with what was going on there, is the reverb to sound like it's just coming down the center, like it's just a big kind of darker hall rather than this and that's just
we belong as one.
That's an interesting tip. That's really cool. So they're not panned hard left. It's kind of like almost center, but not quite. It's like it's left channel is 22 and the right channel is like 30 or something. That's great.
Yeah, and that just shows you that you don't have to be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just close.
Well, awesome, man. I know you probably got to go here, so you got a client coming in to record another hit album. So, but I just want to kind of recap and just let everyone know that this is kind of a breakdown.
Did I lose you?
Can you hear me? Hey, you got me? Hello? Oh, well, anyway, I'll wrap it up here. And, it's just, doing a collaboration with someone who has some great talent and great skill, on his side of stuff. And, I just sent him the song and, it landed on the Big Bang Theory. And so that's a little bit of the information that of his session. But, yeah, it looks like, hey, they were back.
My other camera went out, apparently.
Oh, no worries. I got you now. So I was just recapping and just saying that, it's that's all the production. If people want to hear about more of the how we got it to a publisher and how we did the co-write, then click to tune into part 1 of how to get your song on the Big Bang Theory. Yeah. And but thanks for that, man. We have to do this some more.
Absolutely, man. Thanks.
All right. Have a great session.
Later.